So traders, let's do a pre-close analysis on euro dollar and pound dollar and see how the market played out today. No news day today, similar to yesterday where we had pound claimant count change. We had CPI for CAD, but apart from that, no euro or pound later on in the evening or dollar trade news. Euro dollar, I'm waiting for price to come down and take out this sell side liquidity. However, because we are in this structure zone and we came in and failed to close below multiple times, and today we came down, took out previous day's low, as you can see at the 1 o'clock close candle, which is the 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. London close candle with this bullish engulfing candle, especially after taking out the low from previous day. And that kind of threw me off a little bit, because after seeing that, I was kind of looking for price to go bullish for a bit and before coming back down. But it looks like, we had this pullback. Similarly, like, even though I was bullish, right, after seeing this candle, I was bullish. I was looking to see if we can find any bullish opportunities. We get that. We get the bullish run. We get the bullish up to the high of this candle. We get this inside bar. Price pushes up, takes out liquidity, and then tanks with this bearish engulfing candle. So right now, I'm just waiting for price to come out and take that sell side liquidity, and then look for opportunities to go long tomorrow. But tomorrow we've got euro interest rate news. So ideally, I don't really want to be trading at that time. I want to wait for news before looking to enter any trades. What was interesting on the 1 hour is, when London opened this 1 a.m., 2 a.m. candle, so this was around 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. UK time, we came down, took out liquidity. We held with this pin bar initially, tapped that low, came down, took out this low, and then we put in essentially a market structure shift on the 15-minute, which I didn't want to really trade because the fact that we are right above that sell side liquidity. However, given that we had a fake break on the 60-minute, a fake market structure shift just before yesterday, and then price came down and then gave a market structure shift on the 15-minute. I was saying in my pre-market analysis that we might find support here before price pushes up and then comes lower. But the way price pushed up with this bullish engulfing candle, it's something kind of threw me off and made me change my bias going into the day. However, because we came above this high, failed to close above, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Essentially, a range is formed right there. We failed to close above that high. We came into this order block that was previously rejected. The last move down and came into 50%, held multiple times, and essentially formed a double top at this range and took out liquidity off that high and then displaced lower with leaving bearish fair value gaps. So currently I am anticipating price. Maybe we won't take out some, hopefully if we tomorrow London session we get a pullback into this range and then drop down. That would be a pretty good trade, because we've also got this 4-hour channel forming as price is approaching that level. And after seeing that, honestly, we can essentially come back into the opening gap and with this daily time frame fair value gap above it. So there's quite a lot of room for price to come into. So after that 4-hour bullish engulfing candle right here, after taking out these lows, taking out this low, right, that's 2 lows that price took out before forming this bullish engulfing candle. That took out the low of this, and then wicked above, we pulled back into this fair value gap, held, and not only did it come back and hold that during the start of New York session, it also had SMT with GU. So if you see this, right, we have price made this lower low, which is this low on GU, and then failed to make a new low, whereas GU made a low right there, right? So, and then displaced lower and then continued higher on GU, and similar on EU. Price continues to move higher after that. So although prediction was price was going to come out and take that sell side liquidity, that 4-hour candle was a good hint that price might find some support and push up to the highs of that candle, and which it eventually does. And then after price comes up to that level, it finds the move down, which on the weekly time frame I am bearish going into the week. I was bearish. We had 2 bearish closes in a row. and given it's a Tuesday, more than likely price is going to continue in its direction, especially when we have a draw on liquidity or objective right there. So if I was bearish going into the day, right, and I wanted price to come higher, especially I wanted price to take out Monday's high, which is around here, which is quite far away. We had another swing high right there, which is yesterday's high. Came into this order blocks 50%, created a high, and then took out liquidity off that high again. Then after taking that high out, price displaced lower with bearish fair value gaps. I believe we've left fair value gaps along the way. Yeah, one small fair value gap on the 15-minute right there, with also a breaker block. And then price pulls back into that breaker and finds resistance, which is another good entry. And I keep telling myself this is a good entry, where we get liquidity grab, displacement lower with fair value gap, and also a breaker. And then price usually seems to pull back into the breaker and find some kind of resistance. And honestly, could have taken targets like this, but I was already in a trade on GU, so I wasn't really watching this. And that's euro dollar. Let's do pound dollar now. Similar to euro dollar, we've got an objective on pound dollar as well, right? We have this sell side liquidity that I'm expecting price to come down to, but we have started to lose momentum as it comes down to that level. We've failed to close above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days in a row now. And this morning I was, because the way price had been playing out at a daily time frame structure zone right there after tapping that 50%. Let's just see how it played out, right? We had this bearish engulfing candle that failed to hold, pushed up, bullish, 3 bullish candles, another bearish engulfing candle, failed to hold, and this is what happened during London candle, 5 a.m. candle, this bullish engulfing candle. And after seeing that, my mind was shifted to a bullish momentum, bullish bias for the next candle especially, and my target was this high right there. This is the CPI day candle, and I was waiting for price to take out that liquidity above that high, which it does, and then I looked for opportunities to go short. Do I think it's going to come all the way down? I don't know, but this was a zone that I wanted to short, also because this is yesterday's high, day before that's high, and the day before that's high, so that's 3 days highs, and it's a Tuesday. Bearish bias on the weekly time frame, still got that objective that's not met, and this was a good setup. But seeing this candle, right, I wanted to go bullish. I wanted price to come into this order block, open, tap into that, and then go higher. However, it just tapped into the start of this and continued higher. And watching this, right, we had this candle, I believe this is a 5 a.m. close candle that confirmed this bullish engulfing close, and I was just waiting for price to come into the low of, tap into the order block on the 240, and also not just a high. I was waiting for this. However, price comes into the high instead of the low, and then finds support there once more on this candle right there. And yeah, I was just waiting for price to come into this bullish fair value gap, tap into the open of that order block and find support, but it looks like it wasn't. He wanted to leave that out for later on, so price can come down and take that, fill in this gap after taking these highs. But I did enter a few trades here to go long. I took a short at first after price took out these highs with 0.1% risk, because it's counter trading between New York and London, between London and New York, and then price comes up to that New York session high from CPI day, finds some resistance, and then pushes up with a channel on the 15-minute right there. We form a range as well, so to me this is a range pattern, right? We had, there you go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th test. We took out liquidity off the middle and the top here, and I entered somewhere around, I entered on this candle right there because I was predicting price to come down to this bullish fair value gap the start of the bullish fair value gap, and which is where I took my targets right there, and I had my stops around here, almost to 2.5 R. But yeah, after the bullish candle, right after this candle, I was predicting price to come to this fair value gap and find support, and because of that I took that short, and it just didn't. It just tapped into the start of that order block and found pretty strong support straight away. This is before New York Open, and during New York Open comes down, taps into that again. Here I takes out liquidity, clear on the 15-minute, and then I took a long around here. But let's just not focus on that right now. I'll do a separate video for those. And price continues to, form this pattern, this head and shoulder kind of pattern. I've come into that 65 value gap and found support at the moment. I don't know if it'll come down to these lows, take out that sell side liquidity because it's so far away from this range. I would like it to, but we'll just have to wait and see. But ultimately, yeah, bullish engulfing candle, 240, pushed price up, found resistance at that CPI candle high, especially with candles that completely failed to close above multiple times, right? We had come up, this pin bar came down, continue higher, and then we took out this high, and then we put in this bearish engulfing pattern, which is what gave me more confidence to hold this trade all the way down to this low. Yeah, so those are the plays and just post-day analysis for pound dollar. This candle threw me off again today, just because the candle on 240, especially when the bias is bearish and we get presented with such a bullish engulfing candle, it's not gonna, don't aim for, because me during the day I was thinking, oh, now we're gonna reach for this previous week's high and find resistance there. It doesn't have to do that. Like, we're so bearish on the week that just because I see a bullish engulfing candle like this doesn't mean we're going to continue high. Maybe we'll pull back into the 50% of this order block, find support. I'm not sure, but I will look to trade below this range going next. Although we do also have this range, right? We have this range, and if price comes below this low, find some kind of support on the lower time frame, could provide an entry during London session tomorrow. Cool.